Welcome to episode 10 of Petey's Awesome Guest Panel. My guest at this time is a veteran voice actress, and she's known for many projects, but uh, we're going to find out very soon what she's known for. But my guest today is Miss Renae Jacobs. Renae, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you? Are you sure you're talking to Renae Jacobs or April O'Neil from Channel 6 News?
Uh, let me just say, I grew up watching Teenage Mutant Turtles, Ninja Turtles, and it's just a pleasure. I mean, I grew up. In fact, my favorite April O'Neil episode will always be New York Shyness.
Okay. And why is that?
Well, because I did like Rex, the character Rex one. And like I said, I've been a big Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan that I actually like. Here's some of the tapes I have, like the original VHS tapes.
Wow. That's
And
fantastic.
and if Townsend, is that his name?
Yes, that is
If,
his
Town,
name.
if Townsend is watching this, let me just say that this is one of my favorite Michelangelo episodes. Michelangelo.
Oh, he's so great. He would love to see that.
Absolutely. And well, Renae, my first question is going to be, how did you get into voice acting?
That's a great question. I actually started when I was about 6 years old. I started doing voices in the basement where we lived in Michigan. I was copying or mimicking all of the characters on these albums that I was listening to, mostly Disney, some musical comedy. There were others, but I would play these albums over and over again. And after a while, I knew how to do all the voices. So I'd line up my stuffed animals on the couch and I'd perform all of these different voices for them, and I would mix up the characters. So I would do some of the dwarves from Sleeping Beauty, and I'd do Smee from Peter Pan, and then I'd combine them. And one day my mom came down into the basement and wanted to know who was down there with me, and found out that I was doing all the voices. So I lived near Michigan State University in Lansing, Michigan, and there were classes that were offered for children. One of them was taught by a woman who had a TV show, and a lot of puppetry was going on. It was a children's show. And so she taught us at 6 and 7 years old how to open up the back seam of our favorite stuffed animal and make it into a puppet and then create voices. So after the class was finished, after a number of sessions, she said to my mom, Renee's really good, and I'd like to have her on the show. So I started working on that show, and that's kind of what was my first entree into voiceover.
Oh, very cool. Well, now, how did you get the role for April O'Neil? Like, take me to the audition to the 1987 Ninja Turtles.
So I had a fabulous agent, and just like every voiceover female in town, I was given an audition. Went to the studio and was directed by Stu Rosen, who was the initial director of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And April was the first role that I auditioned for that was actually human. Until then, I was always playing little creatures, little animals, little pixies and fairies and flowers and pieces of fruit. And so it was really kind of cool because here I had the opportunity to almost play myself. And, she was a strong young woman. She was blazing new trails as a reporter. There weren't that many female reporters at the time, but Stu kind of directed me and he, wanted me to do it in certain ways, took me in one direction or another direction, where the pitch of my voice should be. Should she be more laid back, a little more energy? And I got the call that I got the role. So I was very lucky.
Very cool. And like, did you have a favorite April O'Neil, like a cat, a quote or favorite April O'Neil episode in general? I'd like to hear it.
Well, my favorite April O'Neil quote, there's two. Put me down, you big ape. And this is April O'Neil, Channel 6 News. Those are her two big lines.
I love like I said, April O'Neil is like like what helps put the character. I mean, it gives the characters more like of a more like information. Like for instance, like it was April O'Neil who was the catalyst to explaining how the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles became the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like when they put that in the episode, I think it was one of the first episodes, and they were giving their background story about how they became the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So April O'Neil is an essential character to the 1987 and all Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise.
Thank you. I was fortunate enough to be in every single episode. She was kind of the straight person, straight woman to their characters, kind of the George Burns to their Gracie Allen and their Marx Brothers and all the other great, fabulous comedians that came before. So, I didn't have a lot of humor. There were some funny things, but I was really a straight person. So, and it was a joy to be playing in the sandbox with some of the most brilliant voiceover actors that walk this planet and that walked this planet. We unfortunately lost James Avery a number of years ago, but my cast of Ninja Turtles, Townsend Coleman, Barry Gordon, and Peter Renae, Splinter, and Cam Clark, and of course the multi-talented Rob Paulsen. I don't think you could be in a studio with more talented, kind, generous, loving people in the voiceover business. Although most voiceover actors are really wonderful, they're funny, so talented, and so generous and kind. You just don't find people who are competitive. They're competitive with themselves, but they're supportive of each other and kind and helpful. And during this pandemic, Townsend, who is just a genius when it comes to technology, has been helping people put together their own voiceover studios, because now voiceover actors are doing their work from their home, just like many people are doing their work from their home. And most of us aren't tech savvy. And he's just so generous and kind and telling people what kind of equipment to get and what the booth should look like. And these are really genuinely amazing people.
I agree, and like I'm a fan of everyone you mentioned. Like I love James Avery on Fresh with the Ballet. I love Rob Paulsen. Like he's done so much work. Like he was in Gummy Bears. He was in Goof Troops and all these shows. Like and Cam Clark was one of my. He was Leonardo, but he was also Rocksteady, which was cool.
And Barry was Bebop.
Hmm?
And then Peter Renae was not Burn Townsend. Yeah, Burn. He was Burn, and then you've got Pat Fraley doing Krang, but he was also so many other voices as well. And yeah, I was lucky. I got to do a few extra voices here and there, but there weren't very many females that would come around. So the guys got their lion's share of the extra characters.
Who was the woman that did the voice of Irma?
Jennifer Darling.
She's also very good too.
Yeah.
She's also a very good voice actor. But did you like? And this is what I have to ask you, because some actors like do multiple roles. Like even Rob Paulsen did Raphael, and he also did Zack, the fifth ninja, the fifth Ninja Turtle. Did you find yourself doing like multiple voices in episode, whether it's like an extra character or like a recurring character?
Well, you have to understand that. Well, first of all, as I said, there weren't that many other female parts, and the reason that people do extra voices is that under contract, you can do up to 3 voices for the same contract. If you go into the 4th voice, you get a double contract. So they don't want to keep spending more and more money. They did bring in guests, and that was always fun. So whenever there were opportunities to do other voices, I did them. If there were females, I did Lotus Blossom. I'm trying to remember. Like I said, there were few and far between, probably like secretaries or, somebody that would answer a phone. If ever there was a woman, because Jennifer wasn't in every episode, I was in every episode. So if there are other female ancillary voices, people screaming, something happening on the street, I would do those voices.
Now, did you do the voice of the villain, Tempestra, or no?
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Did you do the voice of the villain in the episode Leonardo versus Tempestra? Did you do Tempestra?
No, I don't
Okay.
think so. I don't know who did that one. I don't think it was me. You're talking about 9 years of episodes, hundreds and hundreds of episodes. And yeah, so it's very sweet that a lot of the fans will say, well, in episode 12 of season 3, you said this. What did you mean by that? I'm like, I have no idea. So, the fans are really amazing. They watch it in different ways than we would ever watch it. They look for anomalies, and they look for goofs, and they look to read into the dialogue. And so, sometimes those questions can be disappointing in terms of the answer, because most of us have no recollection. Hundreds of scripts.
So it's like they would ask like trivial things, right?
Yes, very trivial. And none of us could answer, not one of us could answer those questions, I promise you.
Now, did you see the 2009 crossover movie, the 2003 Ninja Turtles versus the 1987 Ninja Turtles? Like, did you see the crossover of that? It was called Turtles Forever.
I'm not sure. That wasn't the Nickelodeon
No.
iteration. Yeah. No, you know what? I really love my turtles. I love my show. I love my guys. And I've seen the movies. I did not watch any other iteration. I did watch the Nickelodeon one. I was on one of the episodes.
And
And
this is a
so I did watch that. But I'm a fan of my show, and I'm very partial to my show. People will ask me, well, how did you like the movies? Well, the movies were a whole different thing. But what disappointed me was that they didn't use my guys' voices. I seriously couldn't tell one turtle from the next in the movies. If you weren't able to see what color headband they were wearing, or what, what apparatus they were holding, whether it was a sai or a nunchuck or a bow, if you didn't see that, you wouldn't know which turtle was saying what. And so I thought that was disappointing. But I'm a little partial.
Well, I always said, like, out of all the incarnations of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, my favorite would always be the 1987.
So you may stay as a big fan of mine. You can stay.
I love the 1987 Ninja Turtles, like especially like it's the fact that it made me like I remember as a kid though, like whenever like we would order pizza, like it made me wanna put on a Ninja Turtle tape and just watch the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles tape and pizza.
That's great. Well, that's very appreciated. And what's fun too is, as an adult now, when you rewatch it, you catch things that you didn't even know when you were a child, because the guys played these characters on many different levels. They were fun and they were great for kids, but there were zingers and references to adult humor, not nasty, cute, clever adult humor. And a lot of that was ad lib, and we'd start like season 3, and the director would come in and say, okay guys, now this time we're going to do it very straight. You're going to stick to the script and we're going to be very serious. Okay, well, maybe the first, second, third episode, but after that, forget it. It would go right back to being fun. And that was all about the guys. And, that's something the fans could look for. Go back to maybe season 3 or season 4, or season 5, and look at the first few episodes and then watch the next ones and see if there's any difference in the cadence and the nuance and the delivery and the lines. Because we were always threatened, that we had to go darker. Well, that's, I think, what Kevin Eastman wanted. I mean, obviously, the initial cartoons, the initial comic book is very dark. It really is. But that just wasn't in the mix when you put all of these amazing actors in the sandbox. I mean, of course they're going to throw sand. Of course they were going to be goofy and make it their own. And I think that's why it lasted and still lasts today, because it's not just the lines that were written. It was taking those lines off the page and really making them something that was bigger and better.
Now, how did Fred Wolf feel about it, though? Did he want like dark, or did he want more comedy when it came to the Ninja Turtles in 1987?
Well, Fred, I think that Fred was under pressure from maybe the writers, or maybe it was the other way around. I don't know. We were never in the booth. So what was being said behind the glass was completely a secret to us. He definitely wanted darker from our point of view. He was a tough guy. He was a tough producer. He wasn't, part of the party. He was pretty stern, and yeah, we had made a lot of money for him and a lot of people. And at one point there was talk about getting like a cast jacket, something with leather sleeves, like a Letterman's jacket. It would have been very cool if he had said, I'm going to get you guys this. No, he didn't, and at the very end of everything, we knew there was a good chance this was the last episode we'd do. I think there was a cake. He was, I don't know if he was cheap or just, who knows. But it was not easy going between the people recording and the people behind the glass for whatever reason that was.
I understand. And do you like how clever it is, like what they did with like the names? Like each Ninja Turtle was actually named after a famous Renaissance painter.
Mm-hmm. That's that was brilliant, because it gave children an opportunity to investigate what those names, what was that, and then learn about those artists behind those names.
Yeah.
How cool was that? I mean, that's why Turtles is so cool. I mean, you've got martial arts. You have famous Renaissance painters. You've got comedy that's based on the Marx Brothers and the Three Stooges and Abbott and Costello and Burns and Allen. Those are names that most people don't know anymore. These were the giants of comedy. And if you are really smart and you're really clever, you will go on YouTube and search these people out and watch what they did. We just lost one of the greats, Carl Reiner. I mean, such an amazing writer, such an amazing producer and actor and comedian. Mel Brooks. These are all the greats that Turtles and my guys who created these amazing characters based what they did on. And this is the history of comedy, the kings and queens of comedy. Definitely got to research that.
I agree. And you know, it's really cool, like how like the way they did it with the famous painters. Like you said, there's martial arts and famous Renaissance artists. But they did it once again too in another episode with the punk frog, where they named all the punk frogs after famous people in history, like Attila the Frog, Genghis Frog, Rasputin the Mad Frog, and Napoleon Bonaparte Frog. So they're doing it once again. Like instead of painters, it's figures, like historical figures in society.
Right. How brilliant is that? And how clever of any fan who was watching to think, well, what was that all about? That's some funny name. And to take it and research it, you know. Again, multi-layered, um, not just fun, not just funny, not just inspiring, but things to like little treasures inside a treasure hunt, you know.
I agree. And I want to get your opinion on this too, because there was a shift in change with the 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles following season 8, which they were called Red Sky episodes, where it went from less comedy to more of a darker, serious minded uh, thing. I just want to get your opinion on those, the last 3 seasons of the 1987 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's a good question, my opinion. Um, you know what? Life is bad enough, and there were cartoons out there that were dark, Batman and different cartoons that were starting to come up. Um, I found that during Comic Cons, which unfortunately we're not doing right now, but so many times people come up to us and say, you know, if not for the Ninja Turtles, I don't know if I'd be alive today. People who were picked on and bullied, people who had learning disabilities, people who were geniuses and just different. Um, they were singled out and made to feel isolated. And I think that having the turtles to come home to see that, oh, these were mutants. I mean, everybody felt like a mutant. You know, in talking to even the guys in our cast now, we've had a chance to be more social with Comic Cons. Or you read Rob's book, which is amazing. Um, you find that everybody's insecure and everybody feels like they're strange. They don't fit in. And having the turtles to come home to and see, oh, here are these mutant turtles. They're like me. I feel like I'm a mutant. I'm a misfit. I don't fit into society. And yet here they are. They're friends. They're heroes. They're honest. They're true. They fight for the right. They're loyal. Um, I think that Turtles gave people a lot of hope and a lot of humor. And so when it went to that dark side, which is where they always seem to want us to go, we had to follow direction. What are we going to do? Get fired? You know, cause a mutiny? But my opinion is that the comedy, you know, you had the fighting, you had that, you know, you had that. The comedy was what rescued people, not the dark side. And so I feel that that was the most helpful, the most rewarding as an actor.
I understand. Fair enough. And like, but how did you feel like with some other changes? Like at one point they were calling like they removed the word ninja and they were at one point briefly they were called Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. And at this point, they replaced Michelangelo's nunchucks with like a grap. I just want to get your opinion on these changes.
I don't know if that was my show. I know the Hero Turtles was in England. They did
Oh,
that. So maybe you're watching something that was from Great Britain, because people were scared in the beginning. They were, you know, people were freaked out with the word Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, parents were freaking out. And I remember going in New York. I was in New York working, and I stopped in at FAO Schwartz, which was a very famous toy store. And we had, you know, been doing turtles for a couple of years. And I went to the toy department and it wasn't there. And I asked one of the managers, hey, where's the Ninja Turtles? He goes, oh, we will never have that in our store. So the year later, when I was back working, I happened to go back into FBO Schwartz, and there was Ninja Turtles everywhere. And that manager didn't seem to be around anymore. So anyway, I don't know what tangent I went off on that. But yeah, you know what? Whatever changes, they weren't in our control. I was grateful to have a job for 9 years in the most wonderful experience in terms of the cast. And each time they come out with a new iteration, it appeals to different people on different levels. And that just keeps the franchise going and keeps me going to Comic-Cons. And so my opinion's not that important. What's important is that those who love turtles and who appreciate the work that we did, we appreciate them. We love them, and it's great.
As a fellow fan, I can honestly say, like, well, thank you for so much memories as a child growing up, watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the VHS tapes, and I wanted to ask you about that too. Like, did you like I know like I was gonna ask you like, did you have at one point like some of these Ninja Turtle tapes on VHS?
I had a few. What I have now is the entire series in that fabulous Turtle Van collection.
Or
Do
the
you have that?
DVD? Yes, I do.
It's really cool. And what was really nice is that some of my fans got together and actually sent it to me. So that was
That's-
really lovely.
but you know what? I think that's really cool that the box is in the form of the turtle, man. That's just awesome.
It
Um,
is.
but I do want to, because I have like like most of the DVDs. I have the superhero collection. Like this is one of the superhero collections I have, and it's by my favorite company too, which is I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's FHE, Family Home Entertainment, and they were a big
Oh,
company. They were a big company back then. Like they made a lot of tapes. It wasn't just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They made like the Clifford tapes, like Clifford the Big Red Dog. Like they were a big company at one point. No, but like did you like well you watched these tapes before, right?
I've watched the tapes. You know that we didn't get paid for those?
Really? No royalty check?
It finally, we were able to get it. You know, Barry Gordon was the president of Screen Actors Guild, and it was totally uh, not right that they made all those videos and then didn't pay us. So I'm not sure if it was Barry. He may have been in on it. They went after them, and we did get paid eventually. But yeah, they totally stole our work and did these videos and made money and didn't pay us.
Terrible. Like, is it just the tapes, or was it like the action figures too, or like action
Well,
figures, posters?
we never had any kind of contract about getting any money from any of the action figures or anything. It was just her voice. And when you take an actor's voice and you use it, that's them working. That's their work. So we got paid obviously for the TV shows, and then all of a sudden, you know, we started talking to each other. It's like, whoa, where are all these videotapes coming from? We'd never had a contract for videotapes. They just took them right from the animation and put them on, put them on video. So we eventually did get some money from it, but yeah, it wasn't cool.
Did you get it from like the DVDs or no?
We do get a few pennies here and there.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you're getting royalties. So you like all of you deserve it.
Thank you.
And this is coming from a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan, but a fan like myself, and among other one, a fellow fan, it's just that I love the 1987 because it's just the comedy was clever. Like you get comedy, you get action, you get tearjerkers because there's some episodes that were tearjerkers. Like, it was a really great show. Like and do you think that like something like a show like that, like the original 1987, do you think that with Barry, Cam, yourself, Townsend, and Rob, do you think that, like, with all these reboots going on, they just announced a reboot of Beavis and Butthead? Do you think that they'll reboot the 1987 Ninja Turtles, like, at one point, or no?
I think that if enough fans write whoever, I'm not sure who one would contact, but I think that if enough fans, for example, if enough fans requested all of us to be at more Comic Cons, it might happen. Um, you know, I, I don't know, but I think it would have to come from a large group of people who would say we want these guys back and we want more episodes like they did in '87.
And I thought it was very cool because, like, in the 2012 Nickelodeon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you did appear in an episode, and you were actually, weren't you April O'Neil's mother in the
Yes,
episode, or no? Okay. Which I
yes,
think is
that's
cool because
fun.
you played your mother and daughter.
I'm sorry?
And I think it's cool that you played it, like, in different franchises. You played the actual April O'Neil, and now you're playing her mother.
Right, right. That was great. I loved that. It was wonderful, and I got to go to Nickelodeon Studios. Studios, they're beautiful and fun. And then I got to work with the great Andrea Romano, who is just a brilliant director. Um, the sad part of that was that I was in the booth by myself. So when we recorded originally, we were all together in the studio. We would rehearse together, and that's where those wonderful lines and those wonderful characters were developed. And then we would record. This time, it's a small booth, one person, you and the director. Um, and then I came back multiple times. The way this worked was I laid down the lines first, and then we get some scratch animation. And so I go back and redo some of the lines or change some of the lines. And then there was a third time where we go back, and now it was pretty much full animation, and they may want the line a little different, or the way it was animated, the time I said the line might have been too long or too short. So that was the process. And not having the other actors to work over was, it's lonely. I don't think it's as creative.
To see you, Cam, Barry, Townsend, and Rob in the new Ninja Turtles on Nickelodeon, I was like, as a longtime fan, I was totally marking out because it was so cool to see the original cast members interacting with the new cast members of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle series.
Yeah, that was fun. That was really fun. I'm
And
glad
even,
they did that. It was great. And it kind of kick-started our Comic-Con appearances at that point.
it was so cool. And, like, even like in 1987, it's like how the chemistry between, like, April O'Neil can go with any character and the scene would just be great. Like, you could have a scene with Irma and it'd be great, or you could have a scene with Townsend, like Michelangelo and April O'Neil, because I think they have great chemistry together. April O'Neil. There's two characters I think April O'Neil and two of the Ninja Turtles go great together. They make great chemistry. April O'Neil and Donatello, and April O'Neil and Michelangelo. I feel like they have strong, like, chemistry, like, because Michelangelo, I don't know if he has hinted in episodes that he had a crush on April O'Neil. Maybe that's why the chemistry is great. Like, with that chemistry when you and Peter Renae, when you was Vernon and you were April O'Neil, like, the banter between you two was just funny. Like, I remember one episode, you basically, I think he stole, like, April O'Neil's news report, and then went really angry. You're like, oh, I'm gonna break his neck. And then Bob was like, take a number.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was really fun. I loved every minute of it, and I think each episode has something fun for everyone. And I'm just really lucky to have been a part of it, and very appreciative of everyone um, who wants to meet us and get our autograph and talk to us. And it's just lovely to be part of a legacy and actually have started the legacy, and means so much to so many people. It's really great.
Absolutely, and even like in uh, one of my favorite shows that has an awesome theme song, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 1987 theme song is everyone. If you're a Turtle fan, if you're not a Turtle fan, you can't help but sing along to the song. It's so catchy, it's so good, and the lyrics are great.
Right. And you know who wrote it?
No, tell me.
You don't know who wrote it? The producer of The Big Bang Theory
Really?
and Two and a Half Men. What's his name? Uh, Not Lauren Michaels. Oh my goodness. Okay, now your fans get to go tell you who. It's oh, his name went right out the window, but he's very, very famous television producer, and he wrote the theme song.
Very cool. And did you have a least favorite Ninja Turtle episode? Like where you're like, this could have been better.
No, I love them all. And again, there were so many. I was appreciative of being in the studio and doing anything they wanted me to do. And my favorite one probably would be the one that where I got to play Lotus, or I got to turn into a cat, or do something a little out of the box for April. But
I,
otherwise, she was kind of the straight person, and I don't think I remember very many other episodes except those ones that stand out because they were a little different.
I remember when I saw the episode where she turns into a cat, and I
Yes.
scared it. I was as a little kid, I was scared of that episode. Maybe the transformation scared me, but I was just terrified as a kid. I look back now, and that was a really good episode. Yeah, like I mean that, and I like I said, one of my favorite episodes is for April O'Neil would be New York Shyness because you want it, you have sympathy for a character like April O'Neil because she's a hardworking woman and she yet have not found a man, but then she finds a man in the form of a robot named Rex One.
Well, I don't really think April was that interested in a relationship. She had the guys to look after, and her career took the
Yeah.
front seat. So don't feel sorry for April.
No, I felt bad for her in that episode because she was getting robbed that day. Like there was like a guy, an attractive guy, and it was just a front because he was actually robbing her until the Ninja Turtle showed up and brought back all her stuff.
Aha. Okay.
That's why I felt bad because like there was like a bunch of quote unquote movers when they weren't movers and they were just thieves.
Ah. Well, thank you for reminding me.
Or any episode where like her and Michelangelo interact, or her and Donatello. It's always great because like you and Talon said, like really like when you two interact in the voice acting booth, it's like a natural like acting chemistry.
Thank you. Pretty easy. Um, you know, when you've got actors like all the guys, they're charming, they're wonderful. We played, we flirted. It was all, we created that chemistry, and we always look forward to being in the booth together. And I think we've really made a very strong friendship years later after doing the Comic Cons together. And, we really care very deeply about each other. We go to each other's shows. Townsend's usually in theater, and Barry's in theater. Cam performs. We're all very supportive of each other. Rob with his book, we've been promoting his book, Voice Lessons. I highly, highly recommend it to everybody. It is not only brilliantly written, it's inspirational. You'll get to know Rob Paulson on a level like you've never known. Most people don't know him. They know his voices, they know how warm and sweet he is and how talented. But he fought a very serious disease, cancer, and it could have threatened his career. And he came through it with a lot of courage and honor, just like a Ninja Turtle would. And, you know, sometimes you'd think, well, when somebody's sick, that, you know, they look for the world to owe them. But it's just the opposite with Rob. He's always giving. He's always kind. He's always um, uh, trying to do for others. And, you know, even with this cancer scare, you know, sometimes he says he's blessed because he's now learned what other people go through and he has empathy. And he's just a miraculous man. So that's, you know, if anything out of this interview is something to take away, I want you to get his book and read it. You will cherish it. It's something that's so inspirational.
And can I be honest with you, like to Renee, that well, like you, Barry, Townsend, uh, Cam, and Rob, like really, like growing up, really inspired me to like one day be a voice actor. Because I did have that, I really had the dream because I was studying like like the works of Mel Blanc, Dawes Butler, and Don Messick, like these guys, these greats, June Foray, who led the way for women voice actresses. Um, and it's just like I hope one day I can be like be like a voice actor, but that you and the gentleman in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles really inspired me to pick up voice acting.
Well, you just have to practice. And there's lots of avenues to learn. There's so many opportunities now online. Sue Blue is an amazing director and teacher, and she's got books that she's written. And I'm sure there are things online that with her, talking and teaching. Pat Fraley is a phenomenal voiceover teacher, and he's working all the time with that. Um, we didn't have things like that when we were working. We didn't have the ability to video ourselves or record our voices as easily. We didn't have our own booths. It's much easier now, and you can submit your audition, over the internet, and people can live anywhere in the world and work as voiceover actors. It's completely different and there's more opportunity, but you have to be super diligent. You have to be super ready. You can't just have one voice. You have to have many, and you have to, really, really hone your skills. And you can do it. You just have to work at it and be ready when that door opens.
And I'll definitely practice. I want to get Rob people. I'm actually gonna message him later and like ask him like what the name of the book is and how can I buy it.
Which book is that?
The one you mentioned, like you said you advised getting.
Are you talking about Rob's book or are you talking about
Yeah.
Sue Blue?
No, Rob's.
Rob's book is called Voice Lessons.
Voice. Okay.
Voice Lessons. I wish I had it with me right now. I'd hold it up. It's kind of the story of Rob's life and where he came to this crossroads in his life. And man, oh man, it's a great read, and you will fall in love with this guy. He's really a mensch.
I really want to get also Sue Blue's book because the woman I seen an interview with this woman and she's incredible. She could do the voice of a baby, then a young girl, then a young woman, an elderly woman. She just runs the gamut with these voices. Like, and I was so impressed. Like, I mean, I love her work to begin with. Like, I loved her in Scooby Doo and the Ghoul School. Like, she's done a lot of stuff that I loved. But her voice ranges. Like, she can go from a baby to like a very elderly woman.
Right. Very old woman, 102-year-old woman. She's great. She's great. I worked with Sue on a number of projects before she became a director. I was on a show called Rose Petal Place that starred Marie Osmond, and we were on that together. Yeah.
But you were in another animation show too, weren't you in It's Punky Brewster?
I was in that. I was in something called The Moon Dreamers. I was on a show called Don Quixote and Sancho Panda, Hanna-Barbera shows, and lots of recording of, books on tape, with creatures and characters that were associated with the stuffed animals or animatronic type animals. There was a mother goose that had a recorder in the body of the mother goose toy, and while somehow you put the cassette tape in and Mother Goose would move and her mouth would move, her head would move from side to side, and she would tell stories. And there were different creatures and characters, and I did a lot of those. So different things. Yeah.
It's ironic, I mean, that you said that, because I actually had something similar, like what you're saying with Mother Goose, where you said put the tape in and her mouth started moving, right?
Right.
I had something called, like, it was like a Teddy Ruxpin, but it wasn't really. It was called TV Teddy, and I is that one of the tapes that, first of all, came with a Berenstain Bear tape, and then there's other tapes you could buy, and one of them was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I remember which Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle tape it was, though, that the TV Teddy, like, you put on the tape, and TV Teddy reacts to it, and it was the one, I think it was the Turtle Musketeers, that episode.
So I did a lot of voices on toys, or things that had books that you put the cassette into a cassette recorder, and then there was a toy and a book associated with it. So a lot of those kinds of things.
Very cool. And this was this part of like any like franchise, or no? Or was this just just a regular like Punky Brewster was a franchise, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a franchise, like the Mother Goose, was that like a Hanna-Barbera, or was it just no company necessary?
I don't know. I don't remember. They were all toys that um, I think that it just depended on where they wanted to go. The Ninja Turtles were actually not going to be a long running cartoon show. It was a 5 episode special to sell the toys. So that's the reason they did a lot of the animation, a lot of cartoons were really promotion to sell toys. They were like, long commercials. So there were some toys that were just standalones, and then there were toys that were that animation became a franchise to promote the sale of the toys. It's a business. It wasn't just, the Smurfs was also to sell those toys. Um, so, it wasn't just animation. I mean, Johnny Quest, I don't know if there were toys for Johnny Quest, but many of the cartoon shows were there to promote toys and make a lot of money.
You said the Smurfs. I mean, anything like G.I. Joe was that too, right?
And there were toys with that too. I mean, there were GI Joe toys before the animation, and then it sold more.
Would the same be applied to like Care Bears, or no?
Sure, of course.
I see. Like, or even like the Care Bears, and you had like the Gummy Bears, which Rob was also on that show. Very good show. And also features one of my favorite actors, Lorenzo Music.
Oh yeah, I was on Lorenzo. I was on Glow Friends with Lorenzo. Yeah.
He was such a talented man.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
but like I do want to ask, like, is there like ever a possibility like where we can have like a part 2 interview, or like even like with you and Barry, Cam, or possibly Townsend and Rob, like, because that would be awesome if we could do like a future show like that.
You never know.
And or even a part 2 with just like, because there's so many questions, like definitely want to ask you, like, fortunately we won't have time for it now, but like I have more questions that I'd like to have for a potential part 2 of the interview, if you're okay with that, of course.
We'll see if we can arrange it.
Absolutely. Now, before we end the interview though, I just want to like do two things. One, I like to use like I want to do like a 3 to 5 second smile pose for my thumbnail for the frame grab, so I can use that as the official picture for the thing when I post it.
Okay.
Because I have your post it, right?
Pardon me?
I have your blessing to post the video, right? Like
Sure,
onto
of
my
course.
Facebook
Absolutely.
and YouTube because I wouldn't do anything without your permission.
You are welcome to post.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is like for 3 to 5 seconds, like do a smile pose, like, and then I'm gonna do one as well, so that way I can use it as the main picture. Okay.
Okay. Tell me
All right.
when.
1, 2, 3. Okay. And if you like, Renee, is there anything you want to talk about or plug? Because this is an open forum. You could say anything you like.
Sure. Um, you know, one of the things that's very important to me is education. What's going on today, a lot of it has to do with education or the lack of education. And it's something that no one can ever take away from you. So lately, or for a long time, I've been involved in raising money for scholarships for students at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. This is a major university. They call it the Harvard of the Middle East. And it is a school where Jews, Christians, and Muslims study together in peace. And people from countries all over the world come and they study everything from medicine and nanotechnology and agriculture to the COVID virus right now. They are on the leading edge of um, trying to come up with an answer for this terrible pandemic and to look into the future to see what might also be coming our way. And so I help raise scholarships for students there, and people can certainly contribute. It would be wonderful. The organization is called the American Friends of the Hebrew University, and their website is afhu.org. Um, and someone would want to contribute, it would be just a blessing, and it's a way to help heal the world. So that's my big thing right now.
Awesome. Very awesome and inspiring because I'm also in the education field too, Renee. Like I'm a teacher assistant, for school for special needs children.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, you'll have to share some of the Ninja Turtles, my shows, not the other ones, not the other
Uh,
one. My show.
and I definitely will. Like if we ever get back to work, when we can go back into the physical building, I'll definitely show like the stuff for flushed animals that I have.
Great. Great. Maybe the first 5 episodes.
That's too. Like I'll bring in the VHS and show them like 'cause we do have a VCR there.
Great.
Um, but
Well, it was a pleasure talking with you. Really honored. Thank you for inviting me. And how about we end this by doing a turtle power on 3?
I was about to ask you the same thing. If I could get a turtle power.
Sure. How about this? Okay, you ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Turtle
Power! Thank you so much. And if you can, please spread the word to like Barry, Rob, and Townsend, and Cam, because I'd love to interview them in the future too.
All right. Well, you take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.